Willie Nelson is known for his singing, his bandana, and his calm smile. His songs made us feel like we were at home, but behind the music was a man who looked like he was in a lot of pain. Even though he made everyone happy, his own life was full of sadness. He lost people he loved, watched friends die, and had health scares that almost broke him. Hits kept coming his way, not just in music but in life as well. Fans never thought that Willie Nelson would end up the way he did. Come along with us as we remember Willie Nelson's sad trip and the end of a country legend. Early life. Willie Nelson was born on April 29, 1933 in a small Texas town called Abbott. But things were hard from the start. Shortly after he was born, his parents, Ira and Merle, split up. First his mom left, and then his dad got married again and left too. The other kids, Willie and Bobby, were left behind. These people took care of them as kids. The kids did not grow up alone, even though their parents were not there. These people loved and played music for them, indeed, and they made sure that Willie and Bobby heard songs all the time as they grew up. In an interview, Willie said, "Neither of them knew how to take care of us. They really helped us out." Willie's grandfather worked as a blacksmith. He often got help from Willie. His grandfather died of asthma, which was another sad event in his life. Willie was only 6 years old. He wrote in his autobiography, "Our separation from mother and father seemed worse than death because they were still alive and well, but they weren't with me and Bobby like they were supposed to be." He felt that loss pain for many years. His grandfather gave him his first guitar. Willie began to learn chords when he was 6 years old. He was writing his own songs by the time he was 7. He sang gospel music in church and even joined a band called Bohemian Polka when he was only 9 years old. He did more than just play music for fun. It turned into a way out. Life wasn't easy, though, even with music. To make money, Willie and his family picked cotton in the hot Texas sun. It made him mad. In his book, he wrote, "Roll me up and smoke me when I die. It was hot, and I was picking cotton. I thought, there must be a better way to make $1 and a living." He was right, but it would still take a long time to get to that better life. A kid with a dream and a guitar. Willie had been through more hard times than most adults by the time he was a teenager, but he didn't give up. He began to play in small bars, honky-tonks, and dance clubs. He began making money with singing when he was only 13. Willie played his guitar at night to help support his family while other kids went home from school to rest. Willie grew up listening to a lot of different kinds of music. He liked artists like Frank Sinatra, Hank Williams, Bob Wills, and Django Reinhardt. All of those sounds helped him make his own voice and style. Willie was more than just music in high school. It was his job to play football, basketball, and baseball. He also raised pigs through the people who would become American farmers. However, music was always what drew him in the most. He joined a band called the Texans when he was in high school. Bud Fletcher, who was married to his sister, was in charge of it. On a small radio station in Hillsboro, Texas, they played every Sunday morning. There was already a crowd of people listening to Willie, even if they were in their own houses. But making songs wasn't enough to pay the bills. Willie had other jobs too. He answered the phone, cut down trees, and even worked in a pawn shop. You had to stay alive to stay alive. Willie did everything that had to be done. After high school, he joined the U.S., the Air Force. That also didn't last long, though. After only 8 months, he was let go because of back trouble. Another thing in the way. He didn't stop going forward, though, making mistakes and trying again. Willie tried going to college after his time in the military. He went to Baylor University and studied farming. He even became a member of Tau Kappa Epsilon, but he couldn't keep still. He quit school in 1956 to follow his dream of becoming a musician full-time. But hopes and dreams don't pay the bills. Willie did more odd jobs to make ends meet. He worked as a bouncer in a bar, made saddles, worked as a partsman in an auto shop, and, once more, trimmed trees. He even played for a while in the band of his friend Johnny Bush. He went to Pleasanton, Texas in the end. That's where his first chance to be a DJ came from. Even though Willie had never worked in radio before, the owner of K-Bop gave him the job. In 1955, that short break helped him record his first songs. They were called "The Storm Has Just Begun" and "When I Sing My Last Hillbilly Song." The recordings were made on used tapes and he sent them to a label, but they turned them down. He kept going anyway. He worked at several radio stations, some in Denton and some in Fort Worth. At night he played live music in bars and during the day he taught Sunday school. Then he thought that maybe starting over would be good. He got his things ready to move to San Diego, but he still couldn't find work there. What happened next, by the way, shows how driven Willie really was. A ditch, a freight train, and a $10.00 lifesaver. Willie began traveling to Portland, Oregon, where his mother lived because he had nowhere else to go in San Diego. He was dropped, but no one picked him up. He slept in a ditch in the end. Think about that. Young Willie Nelson, guitar in hand, on his own, without a way to get home or a ride. He might have been broken in that moment. It didn't, though. He finally got on a freight train that was going to Eugene, Oregon. A nice truck driver picked him up and took him to a bus stop. He even paid Willie $10.00 for a train ticket to get to Portland. Willie got another chance because of that small act of kindness. Success wasn't right outside the door even back then. As time went on, Willie worked hard at different jobs. He even sold encyclopedias door to door at one point. But it made him feel bad. He told the press once that his first song, Family Bible, sold for only $100.00. Everything changed at that time. He thought he could really make it after that. He then packed up his things again and moved to Nashville, ready to give country music his all. It was rough on the way. It hurt, was turned down, and had long nights. But there was also music, kindness, and little bits of hope. Willie Nelson's life didn't start out with him being famous. It began in churches, radio towers, cotton fields, and even train tracks, and a story grew out of all of that. A long road with lots of work to do. Willie Nelson had been through a lot by 1956. He worked for a radio station in Vancouver, Washington, and was also on TV in the area. No Place for Me, his first song, came out around that time. It didn't do very well, but he kept going. Willie worked as a radio host and played music in bars at night. He even went to Colorado and Missouri to look for work, but nothing really worked out. He ended up washing dishes just to stay alive after failing to get on the show Ozark Jubilee. Willie moved back to Texas because he felt stuck. He first lived in Waco and then went to Fort Worth. He finally stopped making songs for a year. During that break, he went door to door selling Bibles and dusters. He even worked his way up to sales manager for Encyclopedia Americana later on. Bill, his son, was born in 1958. After that, Willie went to Houston with his family. He stopped at the Esquire Ballroom on the way and tried to sell his song, Mr. Record Man, for $10.00. Lawrence Butler, a singer, didn't buy the song but loaned him $50.00 and hired him to sing at a club for 6 nights. That little thing made it easier for Willie to rent an apartment in Pasadena, Texas. He went back to work as a DJ there. During this time, he also made 2 more songs. When Willie sold the song Family Bible to Paul Buskirk for $50.00, it was his big break. Nightlife was also for sale for $150.00. Claude Gray had a hit with Family Bible in 1960, but he didn't keep the songs. Willie thought that music was still something to look for. He packed up his things again and moved, this time to Nashville. But the trip wasn't easy, not even in the place where country music began. I write to help other people and live by hope. Willie couldn't get signed to a record company when he got to Nashville in 1960. He went to Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, a bar close to the Grand Ole Opry, for a while. A lot of singers and songwriters liked going there. He was playing with some other artists one day when Hank Cochran, a songwriter, saw him. Had just been given a raise. But he didn't keep the money. Instead, he asked his boss to give it to Willie as payment for signing with Pamper Music. Willie's life changed when he made that choice. Hello Walls was one of the songs Willie played at Tootsie's. Farron Young, a singer, liked it and chose to record it. That helped people know about Willie. After that, country star Ray Price made Nightlife. Price asked Willie to join his band when he needed a new bass player. His friend Willie and the Cherokee Cowboys went on the road with them. Willie's songs started to become big hits while he was on tour with the band, but not by him. He had other singers record his songs. His song was called Funny How Time Slips Away. Paper was a song by Roy Orbison, and most famously, Patsy Cline sang Crazy. That has a story too. Charles Dick, Cline's husband, heard Crazy on the Tootsie's turntable. He liked it so much that he played Pat C. the demo at home. He chose to record it right then. The song was played on jukeboxes more than any other song ever. Willie still wanted to play his own music, even though other people were becoming famous with his songs. In 1961, he signed with Liberty Records and began making records in Nashville. It made it to the top 10 with his duo with Shirley Collie called Willingly. Touch Me, his solo song, did the same. His first album, Fat and Then I Wrote, came out in 1962. Willie got married to Shirley Collie in Las Vegas in 1963. After that, he went to California to work at Pamper Records, but he couldn't do much at that job. He left and went again, this time to Ridgetop, Tennessee, where he bought a ranch. Things went up and down for him over the next few years, but nothing could have prepared him for what came next. Years at RCA, a house fire, and almost giving up. A record company called Monument Records signed Willie in the beginning of 1964. I Never Cared for You was the only song that came out, though. Soon after, Chet Atkins helped Willie move to RCA Victor. He agreed to get $10,000, 0 cents a year. Country Willie, His Own Songs was the name of his first RCA album, which came out in April 1965. Willie joined the Grand Ole Opry that same year. Waylon Jennings became a friend of his after he saw one of his shows in Arizona. Then Willie put together a band called the Record Men, which had Johnny Bush and Paul English in it. At this point, his work wasn't a big hit, but he was slowly getting more fans. Some of his songs were in the top 25 from 1966 to 1969. Some of his best songs were One in a Row, The Party's Over, and a cover of Bring Me Sunshine. But things behind the scenes were not easy. Most of Willie's money came from tours, but those trips weren't making him enough money. Besides that, he split up with Shirley Collie in 1970. Then bad things happened. Willie's ranch in Tennessee caught fire in December 1970. It caught on fire and burned down. That was a sign for Willie. He felt like he had to make a change in his life. He went to a ranch near Bandera, Texas, after leaving Tennessee. He also married someone else, this time Connie Kepke. In early 1971, his song I'm a Memory made it to the top 30, but RCA didn't like it. They wanted him to sign a new deal early. Willie said no. RCA then said they would not put out his songs. Willie felt crushed after his album Yesterday's Wine didn't do well. He gave up leading outlaw country and chose to stop making music. Willie Nelson was ready to give up everything in 1972. He had written hit songs for other people, but his own career wasn't going anywhere. People magazine said that Willie was so mad that he offered RCA $14,000, 0 cents to get out of his deal. His new home was Texas. He bought an old Greyhound bus and began playing in Austin bars and other small venues. But Austin had a very interesting event going on. An up-and-coming music scene drew in people who didn't care about Nashville's rules. These musicians just wanted to play the way they wanted to. Willie was a good fit. He signed with Atlantic Records in 1973 and put out Shotgun Willie. After that came Steps and Phases. The music on these CDs was different. It wasn't as smooth and clean as Nashville music. It was honest, raw, and full of emotions. Outlaw country was the name of this new style. He made the album Red-Headed Stranger when he went to Columbia Records in 1975. People really liked the Strange record. He worked on another record that same year with Waylon Jennings, Jesse Coulter, and Temple Glazer. It was called Wanted the Outlaws. It worked out really well. It was no longer just songs that Willie wrote. He was now a country music singer for a new style. His fame only grew in the 1,980 hit songs like On the Road Again, Poncho and Lefty, and To All the Girls I've Loved Before were on records he made. He also became a part of the Highwaymen, a band with Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Chris Christopherson. Willie helped put together Farm Aid, a show in 1985 to help American farmers who were having a hard time. The event was big, and it still takes place every year. Willie never missed a single one. In that case, Willie Nelson was more than just a singer by the 1,970 albums like Shotgun Willie, Stardust, and Red-Headed Stranger made him famous. Hollywood knew who he was after he made his name. From the stage to the TV, he was wanted to be in movies by directors like Sidney Pollack. Willie ended up being in movies like Thief, Stagecoach, and Electric Horseman, which starred Robert Redford. He tried acting even though he didn't think he was very good at it. Willie said, "I pretty much play myself when I'm supposed to be someone else, and you don't have to act very much to do that." He didn't win any performing awards, but he did get something really cool: being up for Best Original Song at the Oscars. It was for the movie Honeysuckle Rose. It was called On the Road Again. It's funny that he wrote it on the back of a flight vomit bag. Willie liked being in movies, but his first love was music. He told her, "I like making movies, but it's narrow. Also, I don't like going too long without shows." But Willie was still going through a lot of pain behind the movies and the fame. Some of the pain almost took him away for good. In his early years in Nashville, things were not easy for Willie Nelson. He wrote about how lost he felt back then in his book Me and Paul. He lived in a dumpy trailer that was parked next to a graveyard. He wasn't getting many music jobs. He went back to selling encyclopedias to make money. He said that he wasn't normally sad, but that he was really sad at that time. To deal with things, he drank a lot, but it made things worse. At the bar, he kept seeing other artists who were getting the attention he was still looking for. When he was drunk one night, a song came to him, Layton and Hopkins' Trouble in My Mind. "I'm going to lay my head on someone else's lonely railroad line" was a line. He kept thinking about that line. Since there was no railroad close, Willie went out into the middle of a busy street and laid down, but no one was going anywhere. Cars easily missed him. He changed his mind in that quiet moment. "Were I happy? Were you let down?" He wrote, "Can't say for sure. I only remember that I got up, went back to Tootsie's, and had another drink." He was lucky to make it through that night, but the broken hearts in his life didn't end there. There are lies and the marriage is over. There were many ups and downs in Willie's love life. He wrote about a time in his second marriage that changed everything in his book Me and Sister Bobby. Even though he was married to singer Shirley Colley at the time, he had a child with another woman, Connie Kepke. It was a surprise when the truth came out. Shirley found a hospital bill in a letter one day. It wasn't just any bill. It showed how much it cost for Mrs. Connie Nelson to have a daughter named Paula Carleen. Willie told a lie, so Shirley knew it wasn't a big deal, just a trip to the hospital. She didn't believe him, though. There was clear writing on the bill. There was no way out. He told me I had to get those words out of my head. We have a daughter named Paula and a girlfriend named Connie. That was the end of his marriage to Shirley. After that, in 1971, he married Connie. Even after everything, Willie still says nice things about his ex-wives. He told the Telegraph that, "You don't throw them away. There aren't any ex-wives. There are only extra wives." But even though his family was getting bigger, he was about to experience the worst breakup of all time. He failed to save the son. Willie Nelson's life changed again in 1990. The IRS went after him because he owed money in taxes. They took almost everything from him, like his house in Texas and the tapes he had in his studio. Boyd, his sister, said that the worst thing was that they took his music. Not only did they take things, but the worst was yet to come. Willie's oldest son, Billy Nelson, killed himself on Christmas Day, just 1 month after Vanity Fair wrote an in-depth feature about him that talked about his sad songs, past losses, and dark times. Before he died, he was working on a gospel record. Later, I told a friend, "I've never been through anything so terrible in my life." But he had to deal with more than one loss. Paul English died in 2020. He was 87 years old and had been Willie's drummer and best friend for 74 years. Paul had always been with Willie. In 1956, they met. He was a criminal with a gun who liked having fun and had no fears. According to Willie, Paul used a wooden box and paintbrushes to show that he could play the drums. These two were more than just friends, they were related. Willie named his daughter Paula after him. As Paul once said, "If I hadn't gone with Willie, I would be dead or in prison." Willie's daughter Amy said of Paul after his death, "He was like the co-patriarch of our family. There will never be another Paul." Then, in 2022, Willie lost someone even more important, Bobby, his sister. It wasn't just family for Bobby. She played music with him, made him feel better, and was his biggest fan. They wrote a book called Me and Sister, Bobby Together. Willie wrote, "I would not be where I am today without my sister. I need her all the time." Few people can even begin to understand what Willie Nelson has been through. He's had a lot of health problems over the years, mostly with his lungs. At one point, his lung even gave out. A disease called emphysema was also found in him. This makes it hard to breathe and usually gets worse over time. The long fight he had with his lungs, things got so bad for Willie in 2015 that he had to have a stem cell surgery to try to fix some of the damage. How did his lungs get so bad in the first place? The event began very early, very early. I would take a dozen eggs from our chicken, walk to the store, and trade them for a pack of Camel Smokes. Willie wrote about this in his book, Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die. He began smoking when he was 6 years old, but it hurt more than just him. It also hurt his family. He wrote in the same book, "Cigarettes killed my mother, my father, my stepmother, and my stepfather. Tobacco killed half of the people in my family." He finally gave up smoking. When it started to hurt his health, he stopped smoking weed too. He did that for years after that. These days, he uses food instead. It was hard for Willie, but he never gave up. Few people have been as strong and upbeat as he is. He has a son named Lucas. In the film Willie Nelson and Family, Lucas said, "That's what inspires me about him, how he keeps going even when things get hard." Willie has a very different view of life and death even though he is getting older. "I'm not scared of going." He turned 91 years old in April 2024. Willie is one of the few people his age who is still going strong. He kept putting out songs, playing at big events, and talking to his fans. Everyone was shocked at how calm he was when he talked about death. "The fact that I'm 91 years old and up doesn't bother me." During an interview with the AP, he said, "I don't feel bad. I'm not hurting anywhere. I don't need to worry about going." With a smile, Willie also said, "I take pretty good care of myself. I also feel like my body is in pretty good shape." Mind-wise, that's a different thing. Even though Willie has had health problems in the past like asthma, a collapsed lung, and even the pandemic, he doesn't let fear stop him. Not at all. He keeps living his life the same way he always has, with heart, humor, and singing. He is the only member of the famous band The Highwaymen still alive. The other members were Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Chris Christopherson. Chris died in September 2024 at the age of 88. Willie paid a moving farewell to him. He left behind a lot of great songs that we can sing for as long as we live. I had a lot of fun and made a lot of music with my friend Chris. Movies and videos. Oh, sorry to lose him. It was a sad time. Even though it hurt, Willie decided to keep going and play music, still on tour and still happy. You might think that someone in their 90s would want to take it easy, but Willie Nelson doesn't. He was still on stage at age 91. With the guitar in hand, he makes people laugh and sing along. He played at a protest for Vice President Kamala Harris in his home state of Texas in October 2024. "Daddy, Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys" and "On the Road Again" were two of Willie's most popular songs. He played his famous guitar trigger. The people there couldn't believe it. He was still full of life even though he was 91 years old. Like always, he laughed, sang, and shared the stage with other people. He wasn't the only one. Beyoncé was one of the unique guests that night. She wrote a moving Instagram post about Willie after the event. That moment showed how much Willie has meant to people of all ages. No matter how big or small the star is, everyone respects what he's done and how he acts, even when things are tough. Fans enjoy seeing Willie act, but behind the scenes, he's been thinking about bigger issues, and he's using his music to talk about them. Taking the end with grace. When Willie Nelson turned 92 in April 2025, he had a lovely present to give to his guests. The last leaf on the tree is his 76th studio record by himself. These new songs are very deep. They're about getting older, losing loved ones, and what it means to leave a memory. The fact that his son Micah made it even more personal. Willie told the Associated Press that the record was about how to deal with death with grace. The songs cover acts like Tom Waits and Beck, and they also have new songs that Micah and I wrote together. Willie's thoughts on life, getting older, and what we leave behind when we die are in each song. The record doesn't sound sad, even though it's about death. It sounds strong, smart, and calm. For many, that's what Willie has become, someone who has been hurt and lost, and kept going with a smile on their face. He's also had a lot of loss to deal with. Willie is the only highwayman left. He has lost family members, close friends, and musicians. But instead of being sad, he chooses to celebrate them by singing, performing, and telling stories about them. That could be why he's still here. Because he brings a piece of them with him every time he picks up Trigger and goes on stage. Willie Nelson has been sick and sad, but he has also done amazing things. Now that he's 92, he's back on the road, singing with strength and love, showing that you can still play the next song no matter what life throws at you. Why do you think Willie Nelson is still going strong at age 92? Leave your thoughts in the box below. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more amazing stories from the long and interesting past of Hollywood. Have a nice trip.